Welcome to our deep dive into self-doubt.
Oh, yeah.
That sneaky little voice that seems to hold us back.
Mhm.
You know, it's interesting because we always think about the most successful people, and we think they just
Yeah.
don't deal with any of this.
Yeah.
But it turns out everybody's got this. It's almost like this
Yeah.
built-in negativity bias.
Mhm.
Our brains are wired to think
Right,
about
that's
all the things that might go wrong.
absolutely.
And I think the good news is we can learn to manage it.
You can, and it's fascinating because it's actually a leftover survival mechanism from our cave-dwelling ancestors.
Oh, really?
Back then,
Sure.
scanning for threats kept us safe.
Okay.
But today, it can lead to, overthinking and doubting ourselves,
Yeah.
even when the stakes are not that high.
So we're almost working against our own brains, in a way?
You could say that.
Huh?
It's like we have to override that ancient wiring and remind ourselves that not every opportunity is a saber-toothed tiger.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That makes me think about how self-doubt can be so paralyzing that it keeps us from even going after the things we really want in the first place. But,
Right.
you're saying it's so normal. How do we even begin to deal with it?
Well, first, you're not alone.
Oh, okay.
Even icons like Maya Angelou struggled with self-doubt.
Wow, really?
She once said, "I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out."
Maya Angelou, a fraud.
Right.
That just blows my mind. You'd think someone with her level of success would be so past all that.
Well, it's a great example of how self-doubt doesn't have an expiration date.
Hmm.
It doesn't just vanish when you achieve a certain level of success.
Okay.
The key takeaway is that it's manageable.
Yeah.
And if Maya Angelou could create masterpieces while grappling with those feelings,
Mm.
that means we can too.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
So how do we shift from feeling totally stuck to actually managing the self-doubt? What are some practical things we can actually do?
Oh, there's so many strategies.
Okay.
And what's exciting is that we can kind of tailor them to fit, like your personality
Yeah.
and your needs. One really effective technique is called reframing negative thoughts. It's a core principle in cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay.
or CBT.
All right, tell me more about reframing.
Think of it like this. When you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough,"
Oh, yeah.
which, let's be honest, we all do.
We all do.
We challenge that statement,
Okay.
okay? We rephrase it into something more constructive.
So instead of beating ourselves up, we're
Right.
almost like, talking back to that negative voice.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you give me an example of how this works?
Absolutely. Imagine you're trying to learn a new skill, maybe coding,
Okay.
and you're thinking to yourself, I'll never get this. I'm just not a tech person.
Yeah.
Well, instead, you reframe that to, I'm learning something new.
Okay.
It's challenging,
Yeah.
but I'm going to keep practicing.
Yeah.
This is where the idea of a growth mindset comes in.
Oh, growth mindset. I've heard that term, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Yeah.
Can you break that down?
A growth mindset is believing that your abilities aren't fixed.
Okay.
They can be developed through dedication and hard work.
Yeah.
So instead of seeing challenges as proof that you're not good enough,
Yeah.
you see them as opportunities to grow.
So instead of saying, like, I'm not a math person, you say,
Yeah.
I'm not a math person. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a subtle shift, but it changes your whole approach.
Mm.
It moves you from a place of feeling defeated to a place of possibility. And here's the thing. Taking action is crucial.
Okay.
Even small steps can help you build momentum
Mm-hmm.
and quiet that doubting voice.
This reminds me of something I was reading about procrastination being fueled by fear. That
Yeah.
by breaking down a big, intimidating task
Right.
into smaller, more manageable steps,
Yeah.
it makes it easier to overcome that feeling of being overwhelmed and just get started.
That's a great point. And as you start taking action,
Yeah.
remember to celebrate those small wins along the way.
Okay.
It's like giving yourself little confidence boosts.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We wait until we hit some big, huge milestone to celebrate.
Yeah.
But those small victories are really important.
Absolutely.
It's almost like we're rewiring our brains
Yeah.
to focus on the positive instead of always jumping to the negative.
You've hit on a crucial element here.
Okay.
We have to consciously counterbalance that negativity bias we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And one way to do that
Yeah.
is by cultivating a more supportive
Yeah.
internal environment.
So it's not just about our actions, but also about how we treat ourselves.
Precisely. It's about practicing self-compassion.
Okay.
Think about how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Would you speak to a friend that way?
Honestly, probably not.
Right.
I'm a lot harder on myself.
Most of us are. But we wouldn't dream of constantly criticizing and putting down a friend.
Right.
So why do we do it to ourselves?
It's like we're our own worst enemies sometimes.
And that's exactly what we're trying to change.
Okay.
Self-compassion
Yeah.
is about recognizing that we're all human. We all make mistakes. And that's perfectly okay.
This makes me think about all the times that I've beaten myself up over a mistake or a perceived failure. It's like I hold myself to this impossible standard of perfection.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
We live in a culture that often glorifies perfectionism. But the truth is, perfectionism isn't about striving for excellence. It's often a mask for fear and self-doubt.
Wow. I've never thought about it that way, but it makes a lot of sense. So how do we break free from that mindset and embrace self-compassion?
It starts with noticing how you talk to yourself. Pay attention to the words you use, your tone of voice, and the overall energy you bring to your self-talk.
I have a feeling this is going to be really eye-opening.
It can be. The key is to start catching those negative thought patterns and consciously choose to reframe them in a more compassionate way. Let's say you make a mistake at work.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, I'm so stupid or I'm going to get fired, try approaching the situation with kindness and understanding.
Okay.
You could say to yourself, everyone makes mistakes. What can I learn from this? How can I do better next time?
So it's about shifting from a place of blame and shame to a place of curiosity and growth.
Exactly.
Okay.
When we approach our imperfections with self-compassion, it becomes much easier to learn from them and move forward. But I know what you're thinking. Doesn't being too nice to myself make me complacent?
Honestly, yes. Like if I'm not constantly pushing myself, I'll just get lazy.
That's a common concern.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Self-compassion isn't about letting ourselves off the hook. It's about creating a supportive inner environment where we can thrive. Think about it. When you feel supported and encouraged, you're more likely to take risks and go after what you want.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not about lowering my standards. It's about changing my approach.
Precisely. And here's the thing. Self-compassion isn't just about our internal dialogue.
Okay.
It's also about how we treat ourselves externally, taking care of your physical health, getting enough sleep, nourishing your body with good food, and engaging in activities that bring you joy.
Okay.
These are all acts of self-compassion.
So self-care is a crucial part of overcoming self-doubt.
Absolutely. When we prioritize our well-being, we send a powerful message to ourselves that we're worthy of care and attention.
This whole conversation's got me thinking about forgiveness, too. Like, we need to forgive ourselves for past mistakes to truly move forward.
That's such a great point. Forgiveness, both of ourselves and others, is essential for releasing the grip of self-doubt.
Okay.
Holding on to grudges just weighs us down.
It's like carrying around all this emotional baggage that prevents us from reaching our full potential.
You nailed it. Forgiveness is about letting go of that baggage and creating space for healing and growth.
This is all so insightful. I'm starting to see the power of self-compassion on a whole new level.
It truly is transformative.
Yeah.
But it's just one of many tools we can use to quiet that inner critic.
Okay.
There's another powerful technique we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Visualization.
I've heard about visualization. I've always been a little skeptical. Can we really train our brains to believe in our success just by thinking about it?
The answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
Visualization is all about creating a vivid mental picture of yourself achieving your goals. And the more detailed and emotionally engaging that picture is, the more powerful it becomes.
So it's not just about vaguely thinking about our goals. It's about actually experiencing them in our minds as if they've already happened.
Exactly. You're essentially sending a message to your brain that success is possible, which helps build confidence and reduce self-doubt. It's like you're creating a mental blueprint for success.
That's fascinating. So how do we actually practice visualization effectively? Any tips or tricks?
Absolutely.
Okay.
First, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed.
Okay.
Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and relax. Then, start to create that mental movie of yourself achieving your goal.
Yeah.
See yourself succeeding in vivid detail. Hear the sounds. Feel the emotions.
It's about engaging all of our senses to make it as real as possible.
You got it. And here's another tip. Focus on the process, not just the outcome.
Okay.
So, for example, instead of visualizing yourself standing on the podium receiving an award,
Okay.
visualize yourself practicing every day,
Okay.
overcoming obstacles, putting in the work to achieve that goal.
That makes sense. It's like acknowledging that success is a journey, not just a destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we visualize ourselves navigating that journey with confidence,
Yeah.
it strengthens our belief in our ability.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to start incorporating visualization into my routine.
I highly recommend it. It's a game changer.
This is incredibly inspiring. We've covered so much ground today.
I have.
Reframing negative thoughts to embracing self-compassion and even tapping into the power of visualization.
And there's still more to come.
That's right. In part 2 of our deep dive
Yeah.
into overcoming self-doubt, we'll be exploring even more strategies
Absolutely.
to help you silence that inner critic and embrace your true potential. Stay tuned. It's about to get even more insightful.
Welcome back to our deep dive into overcoming self-doubt. Last time we were talking about all these powerful strategies like reframing negative thoughts and practicing self-compassion and even tapping into the power of visualization.
It's amazing how much we can accomplish when we start shifting our mindset
Yeah.
and creating that more supportive inner environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're not done yet.
We are not.
There are even more tools.
And techniques we can use to quiet that inner critic and unleash our full potential.
Absolutely.
So what else can we do?
Well, one strategy that I find particularly powerful is cultivating gratitude.
Okay. How does gratitude play into overcoming self-doubt?
Well, think about it this way. When we focus on what we're grateful for, it shifts our attention away from what we lack or what we perceive as our shortcomings. It's like choosing to shine a light on the positive instead of dwelling in those shadows of negativity.
So it's about consciously choosing to focus on the good.
Exactly. And the amazing thing is gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion. It's actually backed by science.
Really?
Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly experience lower levels of stress, anxiety, and even depression.
Wow. So it really has a profound impact.
It does.
On our well-being.
Yeah.
So how can we start incorporating gratitude into our lives in a practical way?
Well, it can be as simple as keeping a gratitude journal.
Okay.
Where you jot down a few things that you're thankful for.
Yeah, I've heard of those before.
Yeah.
Tips for making them effective.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't just list things out of habit.
Okay.
Really take a moment to savor each experience or person that you're grateful for. Describe it in detail. And allow yourself to feel those positive emotions associated with it.
So make it more than a mental checklist. It's about cultivating that feeling of appreciation.
You've got it.
Okay.
And you don't have to limit yourself to a journal either.
Okay.
You could incorporate gratitude into your daily routine by taking a few moments each morning to reflect on what you appreciate.
So it could be anything like a warm cup of coffee or
Absolutely.
a beautiful sunrise or a supportive friend.
The key is to actively cultivate that sense of appreciation.
Okay.
No matter how big or small, the thing that you're grateful for may be...
Yeah, it's like we're retraining our brains to scan for the good instead of always automatically zooming in on the negative.
And as we practice gratitude more consistently, it becomes a natural part of how we see the world. It's like putting on those rose-colored glasses.
I like that.
Yeah, that filter out that negativity and allow that beauty and abundance of life to shine through.
And speaking of how we see the world, I think it's also important to address another major source of self-doubt, and that is comparison.
Ah, yes, the comparison game.
Yeah.
It's a trap that so many of us fall into.
Especially in today's social media-driven world.
Especially in today's social media world.
Yeah.
It's hard not to get sucked in. When you're constantly bombarded with images of other people's seemingly perfect lives.
It's like we're comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly.
And that's a recipe for feeling inadequate.
It's a distorted view of reality.
Yeah.
That fuels self-doubt and insecurity.
So how do we break free from this comparison trap and start feeling more confident in ourselves?
Well, a great first step is becoming aware of our triggers. What are those things that make us feel the most insecure or inadequate.
For some people, it might be like scrolling through Instagram and seeing pictures of other people's seemingly perfect vacations or relationships.
Right. So once we've identified our triggers, we can start to limit our exposure to them.
So if Instagram is a trigger, maybe it's time to take a break
Yeah.
from social media, or at least be more mindful about the accounts we follow.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
We have the power to curate our online experiences.
Okay.
Choose to follow accounts that inspire and uplift you,
Yeah.
not ones that make you feel bad about yourself.
And it's important to remember that everyone's on their own unique journey.
Absolutely. There's no point in comparing our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20.
That's a great reminder. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses, our own successes and failures.
And embracing our individuality is key to silencing that inner critic.
Beautifully said. And that brings us to our final strategy for overcoming self-doubt.
Okay.
Taking action, despite our fears.
So even when that little voice is whispering doubts in our ear, we push forward anyway.
You got it. Action is the antidote to fear.
Okay.
The more we act, the less power our fears have over us.
It's like we're proving to ourselves that we're capable of more than we thought.
Exactly. Every time we step outside of our comfort zone, we build confidence and resilience. And that's an incredibly empowering feeling.
For those listening who are feeling stuck or paralyzed by self-doubt, what's one small action they can take today to start moving forward?
Well, I would challenge them to identify one thing they've been putting off because of fear or self-doubt. It could be anything.
Okay.
Applying for a new job, starting a creative project, having a difficult conversation, and then take one small step towards that goal today. It could be as simple as just spending 5 minutes brainstorming ideas or doing a little research.
Exactly. The important thing is to start moving.
Oh, okay.
Momentum builds momentum. And as we start taking action, making progress, our self-doubt begins to melt away.
This has been such an inspiring and insightful conversation.
It has.
We've covered so much ground already, from
reframing
negative thoughts and cultivating gratitude to embracing our individuality and taking action despite our fears.
And we still got more to explore.
That's right. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll be discussing even more strategies for silencing your inner critic.
Absolutely.
And unlocking your full potential. Stay tuned. It's about to get even more exciting. Welcome back to our deep dive into overcoming self-doubt.
Yeah.
We've been exploring all sorts of strategies to help quiet that inner critic and really go after what you want. It's been amazing to see how these seemingly simple shifts in perspective can make such a huge difference.
Absolutely.
But we're not done yet.
Not yet.
There are even more tools.
Well, there are.
We can add to our self-doubt busting toolkit.
Definitely.
Okay, what else can we do to boost our confidence and silence that nagging voice of self-doubt?
Well, one area we haven't touched on yet is the power of surrounding yourself with the right people.
Oh, you mean like having a supportive network of friends?
Exactly. People we spend our time with have a huge impact on our thoughts, feelings, and ultimately our beliefs about ourselves.
That makes sense. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity and criticism, it's going to be a lot harder to feel good about yourself.
Precisely. It's like trying to grow a delicate flower in a harsh and barren landscape.
Oh, okay.
It needs that nourishment and support to thrive.
So how do we create that kind of nurturing environment for ourselves?
Well, it starts with being mindful of the company we keep or the people in your life. Yeah. Lifting you up or dragging you down. Do they believe in you and support your dreams? Or do they constantly doubt and criticize you?
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. So if you want to overcome self-doubt and step into your full potential, surround yourself with people who inspire you, encourage you, and believe in you.
It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad rooting for you every
I love that analogy.
Step of the way.
Yeah. And remember, choosing your social circle is an act of self-care. It's about prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being.
So true. Sometimes we feel obligated to maintain relationships that aren't really serving us, even if they're draining our energy and feeding our self-doubt.
It's important to remember that it's okay to set boundaries and distance ourselves from people who are not good for our mental health.
That can be tough, but ultimately it's about honoring ourselves.
It is.
And creating space for those positive and supportive relationships to flourish.
Absolutely. And speaking of honoring ourselves, another powerful strategy for overcoming self-doubt is to challenge perfectionism.
Oh, yeah, we touched on that earlier when we were
Absolutely.
talking about self-compassion.
Right. But it's such an important point that it deserves its own spotlight.
Okay.
Perfectionism is often at the root of self-doubt.
Because we set these impossibly high standards for ourselves
Mhm.
and then beat ourselves up
Right.
when we inevitably fall short.
Exactly. It's a never-ending cycle of striving and feeling inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, perfectionism is often a mask for fear.
Fear of what?
Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough.
So by striving for perfection, we're actually trying to protect ourselves from...
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
But the irony is that perfectionism doesn't actually protect us from anything.
Hmm.
It just keeps us stuck in that state of anxiety and self-doubt.
So how do we free from this perfectionist trap?
Well, it starts with recognizing that perfection is an illusion.
Okay.
It doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has flaws. It's part of being human.
It's like we need to give ourselves permission to be imperfect.
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion comes in.
Yeah.
Instead of judging and criticizing ourselves for our mistakes,
Yeah.
we can approach them with kindness and understanding.
It's about treating ourselves the way we would treat a good friend who was struggling with the same thing.
And remember, progress over perfection. Focus on taking small steps forward, learning from your mistakes, and celebrating your wins along the way.
That's a great reminder. It's not about being perfect.
It's not.
It's about showing up
Uh,
and doing our best.
and that's more than enough.
This has been such an incredible, insightful, and empowering conversation.
It has.
We've covered so many strategies for overcoming self-doubt,
We have.
from reframing negative thoughts and practicing self-compassion to cultivating gratitude,
Mhm.
surrounding ourselves with supportive people, and challenging perfectionism.
And remember, it's not about implementing all of these strategies at once.
Yeah,
Experiment and find what works best for you.
exactly. It's about building your own personalized self-doubt busting toolkit.
Exactly. And the most important thing is to be patient with yourself. Overcoming self-doubt is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, it's about showing up for ourselves with kindness and compassion every step of the way.
And as you do, you'll find that you're capable of achieving far more than you ever thought possible.
Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into overcoming self-doubt.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey and feel equipped to quiet your inner critic and embrace your full potential.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep believing in yourself. You
Right.
got this.